Hi everyone and welcome to One Six Figure Focus, and in this video I'm going to outline 10 things that I love about the Dark Knight Trilogy. Let's get started. So before we get started, I'd just like to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to anyone who's watched the videos, liked the videos, subscribed to the channel, engaged in the chat, left a comment, asked a question, invited me on their live streams, came on my live streams, followed me on Instagram or commented on a picture, anything like that, liked picture. All massively appreciated, and it's helped me grow the channel. In particular to the 985 people who have chosen to click that subscribe button and support the channel and help me grow the channel. It is humbling, and from the bottom of my heart I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet clicked that subscribe button and you're watching right now, maybe watch the video, and if you like kind of this style of content and you get any value for it, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button, getting me closer to that elusive 1,000 subscribers mark. It's very exciting times. So this video, basically I had this idea. I have to give a shout out to Brendan Riley and Rich from Reviews with Rich. So I had them on the channel over the weekend, the last few days on Visions. They both did separate episodes, and I was speaking to Brendan and he said that his kind of collecting is rooted in comic books. So he was a comic book lover, and from that came his love of collecting. My love of collecting comes from cinema, comes from film and TV shows, particularly film. They're the characters that I fell in love with, these movies and trilogies and, you know, different IPs and characters. That's where my first love was for collecting, and from there then I collected pieces and characters and lines from these movies. So that's the first one. He kind of gave me the idea for kind of where I'm going to go with this. The second thing is obviously shout out to Rich from Reviews with Rich. He was on the channel yesterday and we were just talking about Top Gun Maverick, and I just really kind of reminded me how much I love talking about film and TV programs that I really liked. So what you're watching now is a brand new episode number 1 of a series of live streams called 10 Things I Love About. Obviously this one is 10 Things I Love About the Dark Knight, and I'm going to continue this on. It could be a movie, it could be a TV show, it could be a trilogy, it could be a particular franchise, or it could be just a figure. So obviously my channel is dedicated to 1/6 scale collecting. Nothing is changing. I'm just going a step back in time to where the love of these characters and what kind of encouraged me. Where was the source material that encouraged me to part with my money to buy one of these high-end collectibles? So we have to start with the Dark Knight. It makes perfect sense. So we're going to go through it. These are the 10 things that I love about the Dark Knight Trilogy. Number 1, Christopher Nolan. I love his directing style and his storytelling style, right down to his cinematography. I just love how he kind of shoots things in a real world feel. What I mean by that is, I read before that if something can be shot, he has his attitude towards movie making is, if something can be shot real without CGI, that's how he chooses to shoot it. Obviously that's not always possible. So I'll give you a perfect example. In The Dark Knight, when the big articulated truck got flipped in the middle of the street in Gotham, that's actually Chicago. They literally flipped an articulated lorry. That's real, that's not CGI. It might have been enhanced by CGI, but it just gives a more real world feel. Again, not always possible, but I love the way he does that. Also, look at his track record. He's my favorite director. So you have, like, we got Memento, the Dark Knight Trilogy, you have The Prestige, you have Interstellar, Inception, Dunkirk, Tenet. I don't know, a lot of those films weren't actually out at the time when the Dark Knight was first released, but that's the first one, the Christopher Nolan effect. Fantastic director, love what he did the Dark Knight Trilogy, just love all his movies. Number 2 is the story itself. Now, the MCU does things quite well. They kind of pick and choose things from the comic book and then change it and adjust it and bring it onto the big screen. Christopher Nolan, I thought, did this so well with DC here. It's commonly kind of well reported that for Batman Begins, he used the graphic novel Year One as an influence. He used the Killing Joke and Arkham Asylum as an influence for The Dark Knight, and I believe it was Nightfall as an influence for the Dark Knight Rises. So I really like how and I've read them all apart from the Nightfall. I really need to get on that. But from reading Year One and Arkham Asylum and the Killing Joke, it's very obvious that he definitely loosely based his movies and his trilogy around aspects from those graphic novels. Instead of doing a direct lift, now some things are kind of lifted directly and put in, he kind of chose to omit certain things, and then he chose certain things to bring in that would work in this kind of real world environment. So the second thing is basically how he tells the story using aspects from the graphic novels but not doing direct lifts. I love that. The third thing I love about the Dark Knight trilogy is how it's rooted in reality. It has a real world feel, because let's just address the elephant in the room. The thought of a billionaire playboy spending his nights beating criminals to death with its bare hands when he could be out buying yachts and hotels and travelling the world, it's very unrealistic. But he manages, Christopher Nolan, the way he tells the story and roots it in reality, he kind of almost gets you to the point where he makes you believe that this could actually happen. It's more like a gangster film, a real film, but Batman and the Joker and Bane, they just happen to star in it. Case in point, in Batman Begins, there's a scene where he's talking to Alfred, or Michael Caine, and they smash this cowl to pieces, and it's like, a problem with the graphite, sir, the next one will be up to spec. And they order like 10,000 of these pieces to make the helmet or something like that, and they place small batches from different kind of like fake companies or something like that, because they want to throw people off the scent, just in case people put two and two together and realize, okay, this guy ordered this particular piece, it kind of looks like the Batman cowl, maybe he's Batman. The fourth thing I love about this particular trilogy is the cast. I mean, come on, you've got Cillian Murphy, Michael Caine, Christian Bale, Liam Neeson, Tom Hardy, you've got like Katie Holmes, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and even the fact that like in the first one was Katie Holmes and then the same character in the second one was played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, I thought that would really throw me, but it actually didn't. So the fact is, you got you got Morgan Freeman. You've got Morgan Freeman. He was in The Shawshank Redemption. He played Red. It was fantastic. So like you've got these like amazing, like well-known, reputable actors who are, Heath Ledger, like the craft, like you've just got a great cast, let's face it. I'm just going to move on from that one because you get where I'm coming from. The fifth thing I love about the Dark Knight trilogy is the score by Hans Zimmer. It is fantastic. Like if you watch these films, just that kind of sense, that kind of, it's kind of really like intense, exciting kind of a theme going through the three movies by Hans Zimmer. I was lucky enough to see Hans Zimmer and have like a full orchestra in Dublin a few years ago, and he played like all his music from all the different scores that he did from different movies. Without the score here, you definitely take a step down here. This, like, it just wouldn't be the same without Hans Zimmer's music and the score that he wrote for this. Fantastic. Number 6 is simply The Dark Knight. In my opinion, it is one of the best movies ever made. I think it is the best comic book movie ever made, or comic book influenced movie. Like, even though this whole episode is all about The Dark Knight, I have to acknowledge that The Dark Knight, the fact that it actually contains the movie, one of my favorite movies, I think one of the best movies ever made, The Dark Knight, that's the next point. Just a fantastic film. Number 7 is the villain choices that they made. Obviously, you have to have the Joker. You have to have Bane. You also put in, like, say, Catwoman. I know she's kind of like sometimes she's a hero, sometimes she's a villain, maybe she's an anti-hero, call her what you want. You've got the Scarecrow in there. I thought in order to kind of make it work with a real world feel, they were excellent choices. So yeah, that's the next point. The 8th thing about this trilogy that I loved is the design. And what I mean by that is the suit design. The first one from Batman Begins that he carries into The Dark Knight, and of course then the one in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, which I think is, there's no think, that is my favourite Batsuit. Because again, it's rooted in a real world. It has a real world feel to it. It has, they mention it's made out of Kevlar. It looks like armor basically, with with the mask and then the cape and stuff like that, and the blades and all that. So they've taken that comic book design and they've run it through like a real world filter, and it looks like basically, if it didn't have the cowl and the cape, it'd look like something like maybe like a SWAT team, or like a is it kind of a super soldier would wear or something like that. Maybe like a kind of like army armor, and that kind of makes sense because Morgan Freeman's character did say that it originally was supposed to be the army, but I think the government didn't want to spend X amount per soldier, on the armor. So the design is one of the things I love about this trilogy. Not just the two suits, but the design of the tumbler, the design of the bat, the design of the bat pod, even like the design of like, the mansion in the first one, just the different sets. Or even like during the heist scene, the Hong Kong heist scene, where it has the backpack and the sonar eyes, the EMP gun, the sticky bomb gun. Love it. Number 9 is the cinematography itself. Some of the stills in this trilogy are stunning. They literally could be like posters. I've seen people actually print out some of these particular stills and just use them as posters. You know those ones like where he's kind of, you know, I think it's in The Dark Knight Rises, he's standing on the bridge and the cape is flowing. Stuff like that, like just really, really well shot, like frame by frame. There's some absolute beautiful imagery in this particular trilogy. And finally, number 10. Now, if you're watching this and you've sat through it all, I really do appreciate that. Maybe you'll take a second to like and subscribe. The number 10, like everyone knows what I'm going to say, but I have to say it because his performance was iconic. I know the word iconic gets thrown around a lot, but how I would define iconic is something that is of such a high quality that it stands the test of time. Maybe that's a particular piece of art, or maybe it's an album or a song. But I think Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight is the most captivating performance from an individual, from an actor that I've ever seen. I remember being enthralled from start to finish when I saw that in the cinema back in 2008. At the end, even though it was a cinema, not a live performance, people clapped. That just doesn't happen in cinemas in Ireland. I thought it was absolutely fantastic performance. It is one of the best things about the Dark Knight trilogy. Just, you know, fantastic, and may he rest in peace. That's the end of this video. So if you've got any value out of this video, or you want to support the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Let me know if you like the Dark Knight trilogy or not. And maybe, look, there's an abundance of things that I've probably left out. None of these are just some of my 10 that I picked up. There's probably an abundance of things that I've left out. Please just leave a comment. And what things did you like about the Dark Knight trilogy that I might have omitted? Because there's definitely some. You can also follow me on Instagram and follow me on Twitter. That's it. That's the end of the video. Good luck.